New Year. I am our episode of the Polymath Latina podcast. Make sure you join me every week for some real talk with women making an impact in their communities. We will dive into different topics that range from culture to religion, health, politics, and business. Whether it's a one-on-one conversation with my guest or a table discussion open for debate, one thing is for sure. No topic is off the table. The new year is a time for goal settings and making some New Year's resolutions. However, by February, many have given up on their goals. One of the best ways to stay focused on your goals and to actually achieve them this year is by creating a vision board. My guest today is a true expert on all things vision boards. Marcela started her business, Your Dreamwall, in 2019 as a way to help others commit to mastering every area of their lives through powerful words of affirmation and visualization. Her vision is to significantly improve the quality of life globally by evaluating the quality of thoughts individually. She does this by educating and empowering her audience through her products, services, and events that expand awareness and harmonize people with the natural, faith-filled direction. Hello, saludos.
Hola, hi.
How are you? Welcome. And thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So we're going to get started and jump right into it. So it's 2022, and I know that I shared with you during our pre-interview that I am a firm believer on vision boards. I am that vision board girl. But in true transparency, 2021 was a little hard for me, and I'm not there this year. Like, I am not there at all today, but I know that I eventually will get there. If it's not today, it's tomorrow or next week. And I'm a firm believer also, like, every minute, every hour of the day, every day is a new day, right? To start on those goals and whatnot. So I am so honored and thankful to you for joining me today to talk about something that I do believe in, even though I'm kind of lukewarmish right now. So let's get started. Can you share with us, how did you get started with vision boards? When did you first discover the magic behind vision boards? Or do you want me to go question by question?
We'll go question by question.
All right. So number one, how did you get started with vision boards?
So first, thank you so much, Erika, for doing this. Like I had told you behind the scenes, I am such a firm believer of us women building each other up, especially in our Latino community. Just helping one another just to be able to use our voice and share it. So thank you so much. And what got me started with vision boards was about 5 years ago as I embarked my journey on personal development. I remember one of my main mentors had told me, have you ever created a vision board before? And I was kind of like, a vision what? And he's like, and he had told me, he had said to me, yeah, it's a vision board, something that you can place, that you hang up on your wall and that you're constantly seeing. And I was like, no, I really haven't. And he's like, well, I want you to go home and I want you to go make one. And I don't know what it was that he said to me, because normally when somebody tells you something, you might be like, oh yeah, I'm going to go do it.
And then you don't do anything.
You don't take action. And so I don't know what it was. I was very attracted to what he said to me. And I was like, all right, let me just go check it out. And I remember going home and being very specific and writing certain goals that I wanted to do. So I didn't just go and grab any magazine and just start ripping papers out. I really was very intentional with what it is that I envisioned in my heart and in my mind. And I remember one of the specific things was going to Disney World with my son. So this was about 5 years ago, and taking my mother with me also. And I don't know why, but I had this thing in my head that it was going to cost me like $10,000 to go to Disney with my son and my mother. And so I wrote down and I put a picture of me and my son and my mom. And then I had put Disney World like over it, like over us. And then within the next 4 to 5 months, we actually ended up going to Disney World. And I thought that I was like a little freaked out because of the way the opportunity came. And we ended up paying only like $400, I think it was, or something like that, for like 5 or 6 days at this beautiful like 5-star resort. And so I believe that I manifested that dream because I believe that I kept looking at it, envisioning it, and then you become it.
Girl, and that was on your first attempt at vision boarding?
That was my first attempt. Yeah.
Holy moly! I wish it went that well for me when I started when I was like 25, like 15 years ago or whatnot. So when did you first my next question was, when did you discover the magic? But I guess that was the magic, right? Was putting yourself, a picture of yourself, your son and your mom, the words of Disney World, and then getting there, right? In 4 months, in less than half of the year. So for me, it's like, I believe in that as well, right? But how did you go? Now, interesting enough, what I learned about you during our call was that you were in the healthcare profession prior to all of this manifestation, affirmation, vision boarding journey, right? So how did you go from healthcare to vision board? Like, what inspired you to start your dream wall?
Yes. So, um, my personal development, I think, was something that was very up there, and also my spirituality. So I feel like both of them directed me into my purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that I was told this the other day. When you're a child, what did you do? And I remember when I was little, I always used to create. I always used to like stick things together and like create things and like all these things. And then they say that as you get older, if that's what you used to love and you get back into the swing of doing that, you actually can blossom because that's what you've always wanted to do when you were a child, from
Right.
child to adult. And so, what got me onto this was that I believe that if you're not taking, if you're not standing firm on your life, then life
Mm-hmm.
is going to pull you. So, once again, if you're not standing firm and taking head of your life is just going to pull you. And so I believe that at the time, life was just pulling me. And I just happened to get chosen because I was still chosen and favored in all these positions that I had. And I was very good at it, leadership, the mindset and all that. And I believe that I was there for a purpose to serve as that leader,
Right.
to learn, to grow, to know what it is to be a team. But then I remember always being capped. Like I wanted to help more. I wanted to create more. Like, hey, can we, do things on social media? Hey, can we, create a different marketing strategy? And it was always like, no, no, no. Like, I need you to stay here and just do this. And I
Right.
just remember saying, like, going home and just always being like, this isn't who I am. Like, I want more, and I want to learn more, and I want to grow more. And so I started feeling, um, when you have a superior and they're not helping you elevate, you start kind of like going like this to life. And so I
Typical corporate America.
and so I started taking grounds of who I am. I am creative. I am chosen. I can do X, Y, and Z. And so what I started doing was I started letting go of a lot of uh, TV because I don't even think Netflix was out then. I feel old by saying that. And so I started cutting out a lot of TV and I started cutting off a lot of things that were not elevating me. And I just remember entering in this space where words were really, really hitting me and striking me. And I believe that words were really what was taking me and holding me as my foundation to then be able to pour and just kind of grow like a tree.
Right.
I was feeding myself with the word, and the word was being able to allow me to step into my job with a more positive attitude and greeting people. I remember when I would walk in and I would be like, hey, everyone, like, good morning. Oh, hey, girl, I love your hair. And people just started like turning around, like, what's going on here?
What's
So, yeah.
going on with this girl?
I remember like a delivery girl coming and like I was just like, oh, hey, like, I love your nails. And like, the girls would like start laughing at me. And these are all Latinas mentioned, right? And this is what I mean, that we're in that culture where we don't support each other, and like one of
Right.
the girls even said to me, like, hey, like, do you like her? And I was like, I'm complimenting her. Like, it's okay to compliment somebody. Like,
Right.
that's okay. And what also happens is when you start changing, the things around you start becoming very uncomfortable for people. And that's another friction right there.
And
So,
I believe that because there's there's this saying that your strangers or people that you just come in contact with will support you more and understand you more than
Yeah,
those that have been in your life for a very long time, because
right.
the only thing they have to associate with you is who they knew you to be, right?
Yeah,
Not who you are becoming or who you are right now.
absolutely. And I think that's what ended up happening in my career, in my healthcare career. But also mentioning that when you're being called, um, you're being pulled, right? So like a lot of things started happening in my position where I was like getting upset, but then at the same time I had to take a pause and I'm like, wait, what if this is supposed to happen, because I'm not supposed to be here anymore? Like I'm supposed to be over here, like in my calling, in my purpose. And I feel like sometimes I'm a mother, so I was very scared to take that leap of faith,
Right.
but then I remember on a Monday morning, I was like, I'm not going back in. And I literally took a leap of faith and resigned at a position that I was in for 8 years. And that was really tough for me. But I knew that God had something bigger and better for me. I knew
Right.
that, my voice needed to be heard in a different environment, in a different setting. And I think when you take ground of what your purpose is game over.
And I know that you shared a little bit about the corporate experience that kind of lit that fire,
Right.
in you, right, to make changes. And you shared a little bit about starting that self development, that self growth journey. And I know that you shared with me during our conversation that you pretty much, we have very similar upbringings when it comes to the church.
Right.
And you were raised in the church, then you were like peace to the church, and then you kind of like now are going back and congregating and whatnot. But was there a pivotal moment? Because I think that we all have a personal life pivotal moment that kind of just like switches up and says, wait a minute, I need to get into this self development journey, or I need to start learning about manifestation or the power of
Yeah.
words, or, was it just the corporate experience, or was there something personal in your life that kind of said, wait, something's not wrong and I deserve better than that?
Yeah. So all I can say is God was the one who basically was like, boom, like stop, drop, and like, I need you to go this way. And I believe that when you're being called once again and you're trying to be resistant about it,
Right.
things start happening. So that's what was happening to me in my job. Things just started happening. And I was like, this is not supposed to be happening. Like, I don't ever pick up. I remember one day walking in and like, they're like, oh, all of a sudden, like your phone is like, you're going to have to start taking calls. And I'm like, but I've never taken calls before. Like, you guys are paying me as a high position salary, and now you want me to come down to be like a receptionist, which there's nothing wrong with that. But there was just certain things that were happening that I was just like, this doesn't make sense. I don't think I'm supposed to be here anymore.
Okay. And what are some of, I want to share a little bit about how, I want you to share a little bit about how your dream world actually, I know that you've been sharing and it kind of has led, but this is a great segue to like you sharing like how did you make your dream
Yeah.
world an actual business? Like how did
Yeah.
that start?
Yeah, so with all of that happening, my personal development, my spirituality growth, my self-worth, my leadership, my mindset, I understood it was all here. It was all on the mind. So what was I saying to myself when the world was telling me something else? Like I remember telling a couple of people about my ideas of like leaving, and they were just like, why would you leave? It's 10 minutes away from your house. It's 5 minutes away from your son. You have insurance, you have this, you have that. And I just remember just saying to them, like, I have to be very mindful of who I'm sharing my dreams and goals with. That's another thing. And so, as I was in the journey of creating, I started creating these post-its that were literally all over my house. And they would literally just be like, kind of like all over the place, like all over, like just all over. And I would just write, I am powerful, I am beautiful, I am resilient. I would write all these things. And so in the morning time, before I stepped out, I would remember like really just embracing that time and, repeating these affirmations that meant a lot to me. And I remember at one point I was like, I think somebody needs to hear this. I think somebody needs these words. And so I remember grabbing a bunch of these cards and just kind of like going. And I remember doing them and gifting them to people. I remember, I know it's gonna sound crazy, but I remember going to like a bathroom and just kind of leaving one of the cards like right there on the thing. And it didn't have my logo or anything. It just was just something where I just wanted to leave so that whoever opened that door or that window or whatever, they would literally see like, whoa, I really needed this, you know? And
Right.
so I understood that there was so much power behind the words. And so from there, I basically started creating boards, vision boards, affirmation boards. And I really think that once again, when you're being chosen and called into a direction, nobody can stop you. And so I remember quitting my job on a Friday, and then that following month, basically like the next 3 to 4 weeks, I remember stepping into uncomfortability. So uncomfortability is something that I love because when you're uncomfortable, that means you're about to grow and expand. And
Right.
so I remember going with this mindset of saying like, I'm going to change lives, I'm going to change lives, I'm going to impact my voice. Women need to hear. And it was something about women. And I think the season that I was in with women, it was because I was being battered so bad in this community of women and Latinas, and they were laughing at me, making fun of me, calling me things and all this stuff. And I'm like, I could have been turned off. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to deal with any women anymore. But I did the complete opposite. I said, no, I need to embrace, because this is a problem and I want to fix the problem for our future generations.
Right.
But what does that take? That takes leadership. That takes your voice to be heard. So I remember going to women's shelters, empowerment, all these things with women. And out of 10 of them, I actually got booked 8 out of 10 workshops. And from there on, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And so from there on, that's pretty much how I developed Your Dreamwall. And through the process, creating a team and just creating, all these different options for people. So we have one-on-one sessions, we have corporate ones, we have kids ones. The kids ones was something that was so big for me because I have a 10-year-old. So for me, that was very, very important. Kids, we were kids once. What if we were brought up with affirmations? What if, instead of, I mean, the
Life
house.
would be so much different.
Right. Like the mindset, it's all in the mind, because when you come and you tell me that I'm dumb, or you come and you tell me like you can't do that, in my mind, I'm going to be like, no, like I can do the unlimited. Like I am unstoppable. I am a king. I am a queen. I am powerful. I am humble. Staying humble though.
Right. And I wanted to talk a little bit about, because when we think of vision boards, right, we think of going to the Dollar Tree and buying this huge board, and
Yeah.
then, finding magazines in our homes
Yeah.
and, begging people to give us their magazines. I know that many people go to the library because libraries
Yeah.
sometimes just donate magazines. And we come home and we start cutting pictures and words and this and that and whatever else. And it's that's what we think vision boards are. That is what a vision
Yeah.
board for most people is, right? But I feel like your dream world is more of an affirmation board than it is an actual vision board.
Yeah.
And I want you to share why you think the magic between your boards versus what we consider a vision board is.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a great question. And I get that question all the time. And so the first things first is you need to build yourself up. I can have a million things on my board. I can have a car, I can have a house, I can have my dream husband, whatever it is. But how can I get there if I'm not building my confidence or my mindset? I'm never going to achieve that goal if my mind is not there. So if I don't think I'm worthy, then guess what? I'm not going to manifest that man who's supposed to be a faithful man, let's say. Or if I'm not building myself to become a better reader. One of my affirmations was like, I am becoming a better reader by reading 10 pages a day, right? Like that's being very intentional. So now when I'm ready to go build something, a program or whatever the case is, well, guess what? Behind the scenes, I was preparing myself to build that program. But if I just have the program on my wall and I'm not doing anything or taking action behind the scenes, which is your heart and your mind, then how am I going to reach to that? And that's why a lot of people get stuck they get frustrated, they get stuck, and it's because they're not understanding the power of your words. The power of your words is everything. And so what I do is when I do my one-on-one sessions with my clients, I first start off with words, and then from there we take it to the next level with vision. But my first main goal with people is you need to learn how to speak to yourself to then become that person.
Okay, so basically, what you're telling me is that before we go running off, right, and buying a
Right.
board and cutting pictures or going on Pinterest and printing pictures, we need to make a vision board, or let's say put out words, right, that are going to help us, right, or develop ourselves, right, or make ourselves feel secure, right, or confident enough so that when we make these visuals goals or these things that we want, we can
Right.
achieve them because we're secure in who we are. Is that what you're
Absolutely.
saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel like even in my journey in my business, I've been able to manifest quickly, um, because I worked within myself first. I empower myself first with words. I empower myself with certain uh, questions. I empower myself with certain statements. Sometimes the statements are not coming from me; they're coming from the Bible, or they're coming from Oprah, or they're coming from whatever. And I'm literally reading this and ingraining myself. I'm literally soaking myself in power of words, and then I go ahead and I say, okay, cool. I'm ready to go and be intentional about this building that I'm about to buy. Well, why exactly do I want to buy this building? Because that's another thing. A lot of people, they'll just cut and put whatever they want on it, but not having an intention behind it. It's like I
And
was
and
telling
I'm glad that you said that, because when we were on our call, you had said to me what we touched on money, and you were like,
yeah,
yeah, you can put $10,000 on your vision board, but if you're not specific with those $10,000, that means the IRS can come and take $10,000 from you, right? Like, and I
absolutely,
want you to share a little bit about that, because it's true. Sometimes we're like, oh, we want a house, bah, and it's like, okay, but what? And another thing you mentioned was always asking why. Like, why do
yeah,
you want the house? Why do you want
right.
the 10K? Why do you want this? Why do you want that? Right? So I want you to share a little bit about that, because that kind of like, because I'm one of them. Like, I'll be like, I want to save $10,000, but I don't put save. I just put the $10,000. And that's all
Right,
I'm looking at all year long, right? Whether I get
right,
the $10,000 or I miss waste the $10,000. But
absolutely.
share a little bit about that.
Yeah, so when you're manifesting, you have to be very intentional. You have to, because it's like I said, you can put $10,000 on your board, and then from one to the next, you get an IRS saying like you owe, $10,000. Or um, when you're manifesting, it can come in so many different ways.
Your car breaks down or something,
Your
yeah.
car breaks down. Now you have to pay $10,000. God forbid you get into a car accident. Now you have to pay $10,000. Or whatever it is. So I always say be very, very specific. Right now, I moved from a one bedroom to a two bedroom. But I know that I manifested this two bedroom because last December, when I created my vision board for this year, I literally said to myself, I'm going to be manifesting a two bedroom. I don't know where, I don't know how. And I had a target goal of how much I wanted to spend, how much, just like specific things about this move. And I've been blessed. I got free moving. I got, like a company that just said, hey, we want to gift you, to move. And like moving alone is like what, 5 grand, 6 grand, I don't know, right? So it's like that's a perfect example of like me being able to manifest something that I didn't even know was going to happen, but I put the intention behind it, why and how I want it. So it's kind of like preparing yourself, like planning, like you're planning, whatever it is. So I think that makes a major role.
And for those that are just tuning in right now, I want you to share then what are the steps. So then, before we go out and we buy our boards and collect all these magazines and pictures and go on Pinterest and all this other stuff, step number one is
So step number one is I really want you to come into a space of just being alone. Like you need to be alone. You need to be alone. You need to maybe put some nice chill music on, and you need to grab a pen and paper. Grab a pen and paper, and I want you to start questioning yourself. I want you to be very intentional with the questions that you're sharing, which, by the way, you guys can send me a message and I can gladly prepare you and set you on your way with the questions. But one of the questions is going to
But
be,
for right now, give me one question. If you had to
okay,
pick out of an array of
yeah,
questions, what is the number one question that we should be asking ourselves?
what, what, what is it that you want to hit your goal in the next 3 to 5 months? What's a target, like a reality target from 3 months now to, let's say, 6 months? What exactly is it that you want to target? What is it? Is it like, for right now, I'm gonna be starting a 60-day challenge for fitness. That's gonna be one of my goals. It's not easy, but let's do it. So, like, that's definitely something. My parenting skills. I homeschool my son. So what is it looking like in the next 3 to 6 months? Which technically that's the ending of June. Am I preparing myself to say, you know what? I want to put him back into school, or I don't, or I want to move in a different direction. So I think the next question that we should be preparing ourselves is, it's January right now. By June, what type of three top accomplishments would I like to hit for 2023?
So just three.
I would say three. Yeah.
Okay. And then,
And then the next step would be, what is my action step to making those three? So,
okay.
okay, cool. So I want to, so for example, I just said I want to do fitness. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab however I want my body to look, what type of foods. Maybe I need to sleep more. Maybe I need to stop working. Maybe I need to put on my vision board only working from 9 to 3 p.m., maybe I should put on it drinking more water, a gallon of water. So I'll have a gallon of water on my board, like really focusing. And that's being very, very intentional. Very, very intentional.
It's literally like breaking down the pieces, right? It's just not the one picture, like, a fitness influencer on your board. You're literally breaking it down, and you have pictures and words and phrases that are actually going to help you get to these goals or fulfill these goals.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yep. We
Okay.
can do spending. Maybe I don't want to be spending like that no more. So maybe what I would put is, Marcela, be resourceful with your income for food, let's say, right? So instead of going out a lot, I'm going to stay in and I'm going to cook more. I'm going to meal prep. So maybe I'll have photos of meal prepping, and that's going to inspire me, because now I'm going to be looking at this thing and I'm going to be like, all right, I can't eat this anymore, so I need to start eating this. And it's going to help me in a lot of ways. Not only is it going to help me fitness wise, it's going to help me health wise, it's going to help me financially. Just so many things behind being intentional, once again.
Right. And for just before we go into like talking about the services that you provide and whatnot, if there, just in case there's anyone like me right now in a current place where up to this point is all about vision boarding and setting goals and this and that and the third, but we're not there right now. We're not there this year. We're not mentally there. Like, I don't have the mental capacity, right? I shared yesterday on my Instagram stories, like, somebody asked me, like, what are your 2022 goals? And my response was, by now my vision board would have been done, all of them, because I usually make like 3 of them for every different area of my life, right? My goals would have been all laid out, but I'm not there this year. I'm not there right now. Right now. Maybe tomorrow it changes, but I'm not there right now. And all I want is contentment in all areas of my life, right? And to allow to continue to be vulnerable, which is something that I have been working really hard on for the last 6 months, my vulnerability, and just allowing myself to give myself grace, right?
Right.
So if there's somebody out there that's like, yeah, the goals seem great, vision boarding seems great, all these words of affirmation seem great, but I'm not into it right now. And I'm going to say it's a personal thing. It's a thing of self-development, right? Because I am one of those people that I am always telling people, like, oh, you should do it. My sister, like, I tell my sister with my niece, I'm like, because my sister has a lot of, like, doubt issues, and she doesn't often very much believe in herself and the talent and the person that she is. And I'm like, oh, you should do affirmations. And in order for my niece to not be like that, make sure you do affirmations with her and this. And I'm always preaching to everybody else, right, about words and affirmation and this and that and the third. But to be completely transparent, I might wake up today and say, I'm going to do affirmations today. And I'll wake up and I'm not just there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it's that I'm too lazy to do the affirmations, or I just don't feel like I believe in those affirmations, or what the hell is going on. So for people in my situation, right? Because we need to look forward to something.
Yeah.
What do you recommend?
So that's a really good question. You got some good questions. So I always say we're not perfect. We're human people. We were not created perfect. That means we have flaws. That means we have fear. We have worry sometimes, especially us being women and moms. We have anxiety sometimes. We have depression sometimes. We are not perfect. So for those moments, because I don't consider them a lifestyle, I believe that they're moments in your life. And remember, the way we were created was human beings. Human beings have to feel. We have to feel upset. We have
Right.
to feel emotional, and that is okay. I believe that there's going to be days where you're just like, you know what? I don't want to read. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. And that's okay. And that's where grace comes into place. And you just kind of give yourself a day off. I think that if you have, remember, they're moments. Now, if you're sitting there for a whole month not doing anything, then you're going to need some help. You're going to need that accountability person. You're going to, that's another thing. Whenever I'm not feeling well, I kind of sit with myself. I pray, I do my devotion, I do everything that I normally do. Um, and then if I'm still not feeling right, I will call one of my mentors, or I will call one of my spiritual mentors, and I will be like, hey, listen, like, I need you to pray for me. Or, hey, like, this is the situation that I'm going through, and like, I need some words. Like, and what happens? They don't show up with a Mercedes car in front of me. No, they share words of affirmation towards me. Now, they're not going to tell me, Marcela, repeat after me, I am good. They're going to share with me my talents, my strengths. Hey, Marcela, you know that, like, what you're going through is X, Y, and Z, but you know that you've been very strong in the past 5 years. Do you know that you're very resilient? You're very courageous. And those are words of affirmation. They're not going to show up, like I said, with a Mercedes in front of my house or this and that material thing. They're not going to show up with that. They're showing up with words. And like here behind me, these are words. So every morning when I wake up, I read these words. I am favored. I am chosen. I am grateful for my vision. I am grateful for my faith. And these words are what builds my character. So then when I go to the 7-Eleven and I tell a girl or I tell a guy, hey, those are dope shoes or whatever, people are going to look at me crazy, but I'm sharing empowerment. And I think,
Wow, that's a great way to look at complimenting somebody.
yeah. And lastly is that when you're feeling like that, try to do the opposite sometimes. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I'm in my mind and I'm like, you know what, maybe I need to just go and, you know, text this person that I haven't spoken to in X, Y, and Z. Or maybe I need to just send somebody $5 for to go to Starbucks and get themselves something to drink.
Right.
And I feel like those are moments that we have because we're human. So give yourself grace in those moments and find accountability person that's going to empower you. Not say, hey girl, we got to go to the club tonight because I don't like the way you're feeling. Like, let's go drink a
Because you
bottle.
might end up feeling worse at the end,
Right.
right?
Right. Yeah. And then you wake up the next morning feeling again the same way, except worse because now you're throwing up and you have a headache.
That's great. So I know that you have a few services that you provide. Can you walk us through the process of working with your clients on creating these vision board, and what does that process look like?
Yes. So we have three services. So our services is one is our main bestsellers, which are our workshops. So we get hired from different companies, from different organizations who say, hey, we would like for you to come in, and basically we come in and we provide our kits that we have. So they kind of look like this. There's depending on which theme we're going for. So if we're going to corporate, I'm not going to bring this. If we're doing kids, it's not going to look like this. So this is like a women's empowerment one here. And there comes 25 affirmations in here, and then there comes 2 to 3 boards that come in here with a glue stick. And so we basically set them up on the table, and we take people from point A to point B, and that's our workshop settings. And then we also have our motivational speaking. So I myself, Marcela, we come into a space and we just basically pour and motivate as much information that we can to inspire and basically take you from a transformation 45-minute talk. And then our last service is we do a one-on-one actual vision board where I take your visions and I actually put them into life with words and with your photos.
So basically, you send us a questionnaire that we need to answer, and then you work on our vision board. So we don't have to go out and get the board, the magazines, the this, the that, and the third. And you pretty much send us back our vision board that we just hang up on the wall and manifest and visualize on a daily basis. So if you want to avoid searching for magazines and boards and an effective vision board, this is a great option.
Absolutely, yes. And just remember when we're doing our one-on-ones, I'm really taking you through a journey. Like I really get to know who you are from point A to point B because I think once again, everything is about intention. I want to know why you do what you do. I want to know how much income you deserve, how much income you believe that you deserve. I want to know what your vacation trips are looking like. I want to know what your achievements, what have you achieved? Because that's another thing, we're trying to achieve these goals, but what have I achieved over here? And so one of the questions is, what are 3 things that you have achieved that you are so proud of? We don't put that on our vision board, but why? How come? Like one of mine was my graduation. Like I'm a Latina, and for me to graduate college, that's very big in my culture. That's very big in my household. Um, I'm considered as a single mother, and I went through a lot. That's a huge achievement for me. So I put that on my wall because I remember the late nights not sleeping, having a newborn. I remember not seeing my son at nighttime because by the time I got home, he was sleeping already. I remember having 3 jobs at one time while I was going to school. Like I really worked my butt off for that. And I believe we don't give ourselves grace at times to remind ourselves what type of achievements have we hit. So that's one of the questions that I would ask on the vision board, and I will go ahead and put it on your board so you remember, man, I did that. So if I can do that, and I went through 3 jobs, sleepless nights, then that means that this over here, I got this.
Okay. And I know that for, typically when we think of vision boards, right, we think of the entire year. And you kind of shared with us earlier, like go in 3 to 6 months increments.
Yeah.
Do you think we should be doing a whole year's worth of planning, or maybe we should be doing vision boards quarterly?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So a lot of my clients, I encourage them to target for 3 to 6 months. But then I also ask them, what are your long term? Like, I want to know where your mind is. Like, one of mine is to receive a global women's award, global. Like, but that means that that's a long term, right? So that means
Right.
that I have work that I need to do to get there. But that's a beautiful long term. So, um, I definitely encourage people to do them every 6 months about and just kind of evaluate where you're at. Okay, cool. So by June, where am I? Did I hit those goals? Did I not hit those goals? Why didn't I hit those goals? Oh, you know what? Maybe I don't want to do this anymore. Maybe I started baking out of nowhere, and now 6 months later, I'm like, you know what? This is not for me. It was just something that I just quickly did, and I'm gonna leave it there.
Okay, so you're suggesting 6 months. Now, 6 months comes along, and maybe if you're like me, I start a whole new vision board again, right? So, the goals that we achieved, should we be putting it into our next goal vision board and bigger? Or should we just remove them? And I know I shared a story with you that I'm going to share before we jump off, but and then, so the goals that we achieve, are we moving them over and saying we're going to do these goals, but now we're going to go shoot higher? or are we not? And the second part is, are we the goals that we didn't achieve, but still feel like, hey, I really want to do this. Not like you said, well, I started baking and I really don't like it, so whatever. Do we take them off? Do we readjust them? Do we go back and think of intentions, right? Maybe the intentions behind the goal that we had weren't just aligning, and maybe that's where we didn't. How do we do that?
Yeah. So I want to say the intention. Why did I put that on my board? Is that really what I want? And I think what happens is a lot of people get magazines, once again, and they just put. And, what if I just had a breakup right before I did my vision board? I'm not going to put any men on there, but in reality, my heart, I want a family, I want a husband, I want kids, let's say, right? I wasn't being intentional at the moment because of my feelings. Once again, we're emotional, we're human, right? But what if I had intention and I sat with myself and I said, no, what exactly is it that I want? Do I want my husband? Do I want those kids? How many do I want? You know? So I definitely think that you really have to question yourself why you're putting what you're putting. Now, let's say in 6 months, I do hit a goal, right? Do I want to pursue the goal deeper, or do I want to say, okay, I hit this goal, now I'm on to the next? So it
Okay.
really depends on the person, but my encouragement would be always being intentional with what you're putting on your board, whether if you received it or whether if you didn't receive it. Because you could receive something, but do you want to do that for the next year, 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is? That's up to you.
Yeah, and I share that because I know I shared it with you back in 2015.
Yeah.
I had created, because I've always been the 5-year vision board girl and then the yearly vision board girl. And in December of 2014, I was working on my 5 year, so 2015 to 2020 vision board. And I had put a picture of what looked like a businesswoman traveling, right? And for me, that picture just represented that I wanted to become a traveling event professional, right? Because at that point, I was kind of feeling stuck in my career, in my business, and I felt like I was capped. So for me, in my mind, the only thing that was next on it was to travel, right? Because outside of, I was located based in Hoboken, New Jersey. So outside of doing events in New Jersey and the majority of them being in New York, I did do some events in DR and in Mexico. I've never traveled. So for me, in my mind was, well, I think my next step is to become a traveling event professional, right? And then fast forward to 2018, I get hired by a beauty subscription company where I get to start traveling, right? I get to start traveling nationally, right? So throughout the United States.
Yeah.
So in 2019, of December of 2019, as I was working on my 5-year vision board, right?
Okay.
I decided to take the picture off because for me, it was like, all right, I'm traveling the United States. I'm doing events that I wasn't doing before or that I could never imagine ever planning and executing, 5 years ago and whatnot. So just took it off and threw it away. Fast forward till today, and God willingly, I will be starting at a company on the 17th of this month that will require me to do global traveling, right?
Yeah.
So, when I got the offer to the job, it hit me. Like I went on Pinterest like a crazy woman trying to find that picture, and it didn't take me very long to find a picture that I had printed out 7 years ago, which it was even the crazier thing. And I just stood in front of my computer and I just looked at this picture and I'm like, oh my God, like I literally capped myself. Right? And in 2020, when I was planning my next 5 years, I literally capped myself. It was like, okay, I'm working for this company. I'm doing events in LA, New York, Houston, here, there, the third. That's it. I got what I needed, right?
Right.
And then to come up and have a job, to say, oh, not only are you now traveling nationally, but you're going to start traveling internationally,
Yeah.
right? It was
Mm,
like, for me, that lesson was never cap yourself.
it's good.
And even though you have achieved that goal, because for me, there was nothing, I didn't put anything other than traveling event professional. That's all
Right.
I wanted. Like, I didn't say I wanted to travel the world. I didn't say I wanted to travel, nationally. I didn't say what industry I wanted to travel for. It was just, I just want to travel. And that's exactly
Mm,
what I got. But when I
right.
got this job offer and I accepted it and I was looking at this picture, it was like, wow, like I set my limit here. Like I
Mm,
literally just capped myself.
yeah. Right.
And God and life just came in and they're like, no, you're not capped.
Yeah. Good.
Right? So that's why I asked you that question. Once we achieve our goals, because sometimes, as humans, right? And depending on where we are at the moment and what our situation is,
Right.
we limit our potential.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's why I asked, like, once we reach that goal, so we move it over and now shoot higher.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure, for sure. I mean, that's happened with like our product line. I mean, we've taken our products from literally, and there's still so much more growth, to do. So I definitely believe that for sure.
Love it. And before we go, Marcela, do you have any words of wisdom, advice, or anything that you can kind of leave our audience with?
Yes, I definitely do. So for anybody that is basically entering a new season, well, actually, all of us are entering a new season, 2022. I want to encourage you that right now, the life that and I guess just the way the world is going right now, um, don't get, don't be so fearful and worried, because everything is going to be okay. I always tell my son that. I have to remind myself that as well. And the reason why it's going to be okay is because if you have an intentional heart and your heart is in faith and your heart is in love and kindness and just being a good person, you're never going to lose. You're going to learn. So for 2022, the goal is to transform ourselves to always become better people for not only ourselves, but for our kids, for our family, and for our communities. If we want the change to happen, we need to start within us. And oh, I always love to say, what you focus on expands. And so make sure you're focusing on the beauty within yourself, by using words of affirmation. I am confident, I am relentless, I am brave, I am resilient, I am encouraging, and really just stay in that mindset, even if you're going through battles, obstacles, whatever it is. And whoever is out there and says, I just need to talk to someone, reach out to us. We have a team. We are here for you. If you need prayer, if you need, just to talk, if you need to just vent, we're here to help and encourage and build.
I will vouch for that because let me tell you something. During our pre-interview call, I have never spoken to Marcela in my life, never had seen her in person, and I was bawling in that call. Like I literally prepared myself today. I said, just in case I start crying, here I got my tissues ready. So that is a fact.
Yes, yes, yes. So yeah, so we wanted to gift whoever is out there as well. For 2022, we will be doing a giveaway for this call. So I guess I'm not sure how you do the giveaways. Um,
You can share a little bit how the giveaway is going to work, and then we'll add it down in our description and share with everyone else.
okay, perfect. So I guess just follow us, follow both of our accounts, and write why you want. And the collection that we're going to be gifting is our New Year, New Me collection. So that New Year, New Me collection not only does it have affirmations, but it has questions that are going to take you into this next year, stepping on the right stone. So why you believe that you want this new year collection.
Okay, everybody. So there you have it. Your dream wall. Wall, Marcela is hosting a giveaway. And in order to enter the giveaway, you must be following the Polymath Latina podcast as well as Your Dreamwall on Instagram. And then drop in the comments why you feel you need this new me, or new year, new me prize, right? And yeah, so before you go, Marcela, please share with us where can people find you.
Yes. So you guys can follow us on Your Dreamwall. So it's at your_dreamwall. Or you can go ahead and also go to our website, www.yourdreamwall.com. And once again, guys, even if you guys just want to talk, we're here for you. We love you guys. We support you guys. And we thank you so much.
All right, Marcela, we thank you so much for joining me today, for sharing so much of your knowledge. And you know what? I'm starting to feel a little motivated. So maybe before you know it, I'll start working on mine. But it has definitely been an honor and a pleasure. And I thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Erika. Take care. Blessings.
Have a great one.
Bye.
Bye-bye. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Polymath Latina podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe. Join the conversation over on Instagram and then go listen to this episode on your favorite podcast player. Don't forget to be the reason why someone smiles today. Y hasta la próxima.